Good morning, good afternoon, good whatever time of day it is. Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Dr. Don. For your first-time viewers, Conversations with Dr. Don is an ongoing series of one-hour standalone talk shows where I interview interesting people like most of you out there about who they are as unique, one-of-a-kind individuals and about whatever it is we've decided to talk about. And tonight we've got an interesting show. It's kind of in two parts. The first part's going to be about pet partners and Rosemary Mayers. I wanted to be sure to say that properly because I wasn't saying it properly before the camera started. And the second half is going to feature Margot Logan, a Childcare Consultant. And we've got another guest here that you can't see just yet. What's her name?
Charm.
Charm. It's a wonderful, wonderful dog, and we'll be talking to her later on. There she's raised up. Okay. So, as you know, the show goes in two parts. Typically, it's the first part is what I call the bio stuff. We'll talk to our guests about who they are personally, so you get an idea why they're doing what they're doing in their lives now when we're talking about it. And then the second part, we will talk about the subject of the title of the show. And this first half is going to be about pet partners. So let's get started here. Let me ask you some personal questions about who you are, but I'm a psychologist and I won't be asking you about that kind of stuff, okay? How are you feeling right now?
Oh, good. I'm really good. Good day and beautiful sunshine, and had my granddaughter all day and pet the dogs and just had a great day.
Yeah. Boy, you're relaxing me. I was nervous and all tense here because I sent you to the wrong facility before.
Oh, that was my fault for not confirming.
Yeah.
No problem. We're all good.
So can I tell the viewers how I met you?
Yes.
I was wandering up the street from my house a couple of weekends ago, and there was this garage sale that looked pretty promising, so I went over, and there you were. And we got chatting and talking, and I knew something about you was quite interesting because you're a caring human being, and I sensed that right away. And just the tone of your voice, I knew it. And then I found out you're pet partners, and I love animals. I haven't had a dog since I was 13 years old.
Aww.
Yeah. And I says, I got to have you on this show to talk about that because I got a real soft spot for all animals, and particularly dogs. So if I were to ask your best friend, who is Rosemary, what would your best friend say?
That's a great question. Never thought of it that way.
Rosemary is?
Rosemary is a teacher, a animal advocate, a mother, a wife, a grandmother, a friend, a sister. A person who definitely enjoys life, looks for the most positive things I can find and go towards them. Getting older. Needing glasses now.
Yeah,
likes to have fun, likes to party, likes to go places, loves wine.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Lots of good things.
And,
Opinionated.
and where were you born?
I was born in New Jersey.
New Jersey. How long you been here?
I moved out here when I was 18 years old, so that's 51 added up. So, yeah, tell me, that's 30-some odd years now?
Yeah.
So I moved to Seattle first and was working. I transferred from a job and worked in Seattle for a long time, then came down to Portland. Kind of back and forth a few times, but settled here in Portland.
Are you still working?
I am recently unemployed teacher, just this June. So I'm faced a new chapter in my life. So.
What did you teach?
I teach computer technology to kindergarten through 8th grade.
Ooh, one of those people.
Yeah. It's a great thing to teach with kids because kids love coming to your class for computers. I mean, you don't have to drag them anywhere, nothing. They just come running in. What are we going to do today? You know, and we always had a lot of fun and learned a lot of things and did that for 17 years, so it's going to be difficult, and it's come September not going back to it, but hopefully something will come up over the summer. I'm hoping a job will pop up over the summer. So.
Sure. And by the way, if I ask you a question that you don't want to answer, you can tell me get lost.
Okay,
something.
I will.
It's a collaborative effort here. Anything significant about your cultural heritage that the viewers may be interested in?
Only that one of my brothers traced us all the way back to one of the original colonies and with a record keeper. So been here since the beginning. So that's all I know.
As a question about your religious preference in order, or do you care not to talk about that?
No, that's fine. I'm Catholic and I'm proud of it. So
I knew there was something else wrong with you. I'm a recovering Catholic.
You're a recovering Catholic. All right.
I was an altar boy for years.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I used to get smashed on the Sacramento wine.
Well, you know, we don't use rulers anymore, so.
Yeah.
Remember the old smacking of the wrist with the rollers?
Yeah.
That's the old days. That's the very old days.
You had a
Nowadays,
Catholic education, did you?
I did. Yes, I did. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good education, and I love being able to share God with the children. So it's a place you can do that. And
Are you still a practicing Catholic?
I am. Yeah, I am. Not as active as I should be, but I'm still practicing. And I've worked for the Catholic schools for 17 years. So.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I'm still participating.
And your formal education was?
I have only completed maybe an associate's degree, and that's part of my reasoning for losing my job, shall we say, and having trouble finding another. So, but I had a lot of college in computer science, and that's spent 17 years in marketing for big companies.
Whoa,
So
just thinking
that's
about
my
it makes
second.
my
That was my
hair-
first career. Teaching was my second, and now I'm working on my third.
And you have a partner?
I have a husband named Mark,
Uh-huh.
and I have two children, Katie and Keith, and they're 28 and 26, and I have a beautiful granddaughter named Addison. And that rounds up my family. I've got lots of nieces and nephews and cousins and all kinds of people around the country and here, so a lot of great family around.
Are your kids and your husband going to see this show?
Of course. I'll twist their arm if they don't want to watch it.
Here's your chance to tell them and the entire world how you feel about them right there. And look at the
I
camera,
love
tell
you
them.
all very much. You're the best part of my life. I'm so blessed to have you.
And I think you're pretty lucky, I can tell right now by her vibes. Political persuasion on the continuum, left or right or center, how do you see yourself?
I am center. I am an independent.
Yes. How about memberships in political, social, civic organizations?
No, I did run way back when I was 20 years old and was a committee person, representative for a small area. But after 2 years of dealing with the meetings and the Senate and the floors and seeing what it took, I got disillusioned and kind of left that field. I gave it 2 years and I was like, that's enough.
Okay. Any persons from the past or alive today that you particularly look up to or admired? Any names come to mind?
My mother.
Your mother?
My mother.
Why?
She's, God rest her soul. She was the most giving, loving, just loved life, gave to everybody, was major volunteer. She actually started me with the dogs because she was the president of an animal haven. And for over 20 years, there was not one dog in our town put to sleep. The only ones who had to be put to sleep for sickness. But we all would take the dogs. So I had hundreds of dogs. There was 20 women, and I had hundreds of dogs growing up, and we'd find homes for them. And so we had fundraisers and garage sales and bus trips to New York and plays, and just worked our butts off for those dogs and those animals. So, and she was a great influence. She was VFW. She worked in the school board. She just great influence on me. Great influence. Her and my Aunt Kay was her sister to be, not really her sister, but she was like to me. Those two were my biggest influences in my life. Just generous women, just generous with all their hearts.
Is that why you're so warm?
Well, I hope so. Well, thank you. That's so nice of you to say. Not everybody says that about me. So.
Yeah. Okay. Can you make me smile?
Yes, I can make you smile.
You
too.
just did. Yeah, you're good.
All you have to do is smile, and people will smile back at you. I do it all the time in the supermarkets. It works like a charm.
So shall we move into the subject?
Sure.
I got some questions here, and we'll see where we go.
Okay.
Pet partners. Pet partners advocate. What is that, a pet partners advocate?
Well, I'm new with the organization, so let me preface it with that because I want to make sure I don't say anything, that isn't exactly on money. So if you have any questions, petpartners.org is the place to go to find out any additional information.
Petpartners.org.
But Pet Partners started with two, a vet and a doctor back in the 70s, and they started studying animals' behavior with human beings in healing. And they saw that they reduced their stress, reduced their high blood pressure, reduced their anxiety, helped with depression. It helped with healing. Endorphins are set off when someone's petting a dog. The endorphins are set off that relaxes them. They found all these positive things. So they started doing actual tests, and they started doing actual true medical tests to prove their theory, and they did. So
this
they probably
was in the 70s.
Yeah, this is in the 70s and the 80s, and they proved the theory that it was working. And so they wanted to they're out of Bellevue, Washington, and they wanted to create an environment where people could get trained in a certain way that would be certified or really were registered to go into hospitals and nursing homes and so forth. So the dogs and I, or the dogs and people, are a team. So Charm and I are a team, and we're able to go into hospitals. So they train you, and then they put you through a pretty big test, 22-point test that you have to pass. Mm-hmm. One point you don't pass, you won't make it. You have to go back and practice more until you do. So they make sure that you can handle the dog, and my job is to take care of the dog. The dog will give the patient all the love and caring that the patient will need. My job is to make sure the dog's not under stress, make sure the dog is being taken care of, to make sure the person knows how to pet a dog, knows how to take care of the dog, that the wheelchair doesn't go over their feet, that, you know, whatever. So my job is to read her all day long. So that's what they train me to do. And then the dogs just go in and bring love. And so they, you know, the staff, you know, they're tired, they're working hard too, so that gives them a 5-minute break to pet an animal. The people just love animals, those that do. I mean, you don't visit anybody that doesn't, but and the kids, of course, absolutely adore the dogs coming in. And so the job is to just come in and spread love and peace and kindness and just calmness, you know, and allow people to heal. And they've proven it, they heal faster with an animal around. So it's pretty exciting to be able to bring that to people that, you know, why not?
So have you been to some places?
I haven't yet. I'm brand new. I haven't. I just registered with a couple of them. So I'm really excited about it. I'm
big sunshine.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I love talking to people, and it's a great thing to go have fun and bring joy to people. What more is there in life? I mean, if you can do that, you got something going good.
When I was at your garage sale, it was a hard time to do any looking or shopping. I didn't want to talk to you.
I know. I love talking to you too. I was like, oh, and then you came back with your wife later. It was such a pleasure to meet her too. It was really nice of you. Yeah.
So
that's the only garage sale I've had my whole life too, just so you know.
You know what?
That's the only garage sale I've had my whole life.
Really?
We downsized a bit.
Oh, yes. And the therapy animal program, you talked about that, huh?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's part of the program is there's AAA and AAT. So AAA is animal assisted activities. And that is where I just go in, and the director of events at the facility will find which patients I need to see, set up schedules with me, and the dog just goes in and basically be pet, play with a ball, give them treats, just comforting. The AAT is much more higher level. When an animal shows good ability, and this will become part of the record, and the doctor prescribes it. So a physical therapist can prescribe it, anybody can prescribe it, that they find maybe a child has gotten hurt and they need help getting up and they're not being as cooperative they could. So you use a dog as a lead to help them get moving. Maybe a soldier's been injured, and the dog will motivate them more. So the dogs can actually come into true therapy settings where they are more motivating to the patients when the patients are having a hard time. Because physical therapy is pretty tough stuff. I've been through it a couple times, and it's not easy. It's painful. So having a dog to pet at the end of it, or to get you to go for it, or it doesn't have to be a dog either. We have cats, rabbits, horses. There's all kinds of pet companions. So Pet
Really?
Partners certifies all kinds of animals.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, when you see a little pony going into a hospital or a nursing home, it's pretty funny. You know? They've had llamas.
Really?
Yep.
And the people respond to it in the
exactly,
same way.
Yeah. I'm sure a little more surprised, but
Service animal program.
well, service animal is more like the Seeing Eye Dog program, and actually my friend Nancy Pruitt is in charge of this area for that. And so those dogs are trained truly to do service, switch on lights, guide somebody across the street, be somebody's eyes, be somebody's ears, be somebody's senses. You know, they're trained very specifically for service dogs, and very different than a therapy dog, because we're just trained to have more enjoyment with the time, where they're really serving a true purpose for a disabled person that has some needs, and that is a great organization. I raised a couple of those pups when I was young too, and I was very proud when they went off and graduated. And I have another good friend of mine, Ann, is right on her third one right now, and I just love those pups. I just have them around as much as I can. And they just learn to be extremely well behaved, you know. And then they go to boarding, is where the facility is here, and so those are service animals. Those are more, you know, truly meeting a need. Where ours are more, they're meeting a need, but they're meeting a lower level expectation need. You know, just more love and giving back to people. So that's the difference.
Do you see a a reaction in the animals when they're with a person who's needing that kind of love and attention.
Yes.
The animal has a reaction too.
I think animals are very in tune to people's feelings, and when I'm calm, she's calm. When I'm upset, she's upset, and she senses that in other people tremendously. And I really think, you know, dog spelled backward is God. So I got a pretty high reasoning. I think dogs have the same love that God has for us. I think it's very unconditional, and it's very, very deep.
We need 2 hours because I've got a lot of stories about dogs in my life.
Yeah, and
cats, yeah.
Yeah, the things you can never. I just had to put my cat down the other day, so I'm kind of sad about that. But yeah, she's 16, but God bless her. It was time. It's a hard thing to do. It's the hardest part of owning animals, but at least we can do it for them, you know, so.
And Pet Loss and Bereavement Directory. What is that about?
Well,
Directory
basically,
of resources.
you can go online, and it has a lot of resources if you're grieving, and a lot of times people have a hard time communicating that they're grieving about a pet as hard as they are. And sometimes people do become depressed, just like do with a loved one, because it is a loved one. It is part of their family. So there are resources there to help you with that online, and then you can also, you know, have counselors to talk to. And you can also, of course, make donations and things that make you feel better in your animal's name, you know. But it's a good thing, because sometimes people feel a little foolish when they lose an animal because they can't quite get over it, and it's not the case. It's somebody they loved. There's a huge attachment there.
The neocortex.
Exactly.
There's something a deeper core.
Yep. And so that's what they try to provide a little bit to help people, you know, understand that it's okay. It's okay to be sad. You know what I mean? And you have every right to miss an animal like you do a partner or a friend, or, you know, I know they're not human, but they're very special to us. So, and if you don't like animals, we're going to have a hard time getting along.
So how long have you been associated with her?
This is Charm, and I have had her for 7 years.
7 years?
And she is 3rd time's a charm. So after raising all my dogs, I have tried to have 1 litter of puppies, because we always had the rescues. And I still rescue. I still rescue English Shepherds, and I have had some ferals. And let me tell you a story about that someday. That was a piece of work. But so I had a German Shepherd, and at 2 he had hip dysplasia, so I had to have him I had to have her. I had to not allow him to have puppies. I had to fix them. So then my husband found English Shepherds, and that's what she is. And they were very interesting dogs. They're the old farm dog. It's a very rare dog. There's only about 100 breeders in the United States. And he found her, and I got Bella, who's absolutely beautiful, the brown one you saw the other day, and 2 years old again. She had hip dysplasia. Had to fix her. So I'm really sad. So this is like 10 years in between each thing. So lo and behold, Bella's about 4 and showing a little loneliness. I'm like, oh, we got to get another pup now. So I called the president of the Association of the English Shepherds, and I said, when are you having puppies? And so Mary Peasley gave me one of her puppies, and that was Charm. And I finally had my 1 litter of puppies I always wanted to have. So I just had 1 litter, but I helped her birth them from 11 at night till 6 in the morning when my husband was on the road and my daughter was waking up and taking notes for me. And we had a beautiful litter of 8 pups, and there's lots of stories there, but one of her pups actually saved a child from a cougar. So I knew there was a reason I had to breed that 1 litter of pups. That was the reason. Just 1 litter. So
how long ago did she have a litter?
They are all 5 years old now.
5.
Yeah.
And you know where they are?
Yeah, I know where every one of them is. Yep. I just sent them an all happy birthday message the other day. July 12th was their birthday. I sent them all happy birthday message. Oh yeah, keep in touch with all the owners and hear stories, and yeah, they're all great dogs. Some of them are amazing dogs. They're doing some really amazing things. Yeah. So they're all getting their little titles and whatever. Not for looks, but for animal training, agility, rescue. They're all working dogs. These English Shepherds are working dogs. They need a job, so they're great dogs. But yeah, I'm proud of them. I picked the right stud for you, girl, didn't I?
Yeah. So how about some personal remembrances and your relationship with your animals?
Oh man, there's lots of stories there. Lucky is one of my first dogs I remember, and I was just a little kid, probably 2 or 3, and I just always played in their doghouse. And it was dirty and rocky, and I'd come out of there just a mess every day, but I just wanted to go play in the doghouse. My mom would always say, "Where are you?" "I'm in here." And she knew where she could find me. And then Duke was one of my dogs I had from a teenager on, and I moved him from the East Coast with me. So when we flew in from New Jersey to Chicago, Seattle was snowed in. And so we got to stay on the 18th floor of the Holiday Inn, and we had 2 steak dinners. One for Duke and one for me. So that was kind of a blast, and actually that dog was one of my lifesavers. I think I would have been hurt one evening if it wasn't for him. So he protected me very well, and I had him for 16 years, I think. So long time to have a dog. Yeah, and I actually raised him from a pup. His mom was killed by a car, so I had him from 10 days old, the pups, and bottle fed him, and so he thought I was his mother. And so we've had Malamutes and lots of mutts, and I've had the one German Shepherd that I couldn't breed, and we've just had all kinds of dogs my whole life. I tend to now go towards a breed more than another because I want to match them to my life, and I recommend that to everybody that, adopt all the dogs you can adopt, but make sure you're adopting one that fits your lifestyle. Because if you're going to be, sitting at home watching TV all day, you don't need a herding dog. You need a little different dog. Yeah. If you're a very active runner and so forth, you probably don't want a beagle. You want to match the dog with you. So always try to find out the traits of the dog, even if they're, mixed traits. It's perfectly fine, but match them with you so it's success. And then if you don't have success, get training. Dogs' behaviors can be corrected so quickly with training. Just go to a professional and get training, get some help, and they'll help you fix their behaviors if they bark too much or they scratch at the door too much or they, whatever they might be doing. Just do training. I do training with every dog I get just on purpose, just so I refresh myself and gives the dog socialization. Just be involved. That first year, if you have a pup, is the most important year. You'll get 15 years of a great dog. But if you don't do it that first year, it's not going to be too much fun. Or it could be more successful, I should say. It could be more successful.
So all your life you've been involved with dogs?
All my life. And cats, yeah.
What was your first dog?
My first dog was Lucky.
Lucky, yeah.
Yep, Lucky was my first dog, yeah.
You're going to keep having dogs?
Oh, yeah. There won't be a day in my life I won't have a dog. No. Very, no way. Yeah, my husband loves them too, thank God. So
yeah.
So we both love the dog.
I think of Rocky. I was born in New Orleans, in 9th Ward, 7th Ward, and I was about 13, I guess, when I had an appendectomy emergency, and Rocky was a mongrel. Mm-hmm. I don't know how we got him or how I got him, but he was mine. He was my friend. And I was a sad kid, depressed most of my life because of a number of reasons anymore, but I'm not that way anymore. And he was my bud.
Right.
And him and I hung out together no matter what, and
just always there for you.
Always there, always at my heel. And some of the adults around didn't take to Rocky because he looked like a mongrel,
Right. Wasn't pretty.
But not at all.
Yeah.
He didn't have his tail up wagging all the time, but he hung by me. And when I came home from the hospital, it was summertime, and sometimes I'd be on the side porch, and sometimes I'd be inside when it was cool. And whenever they'd move me from the surgery, he was right there, hung out under the bed, and they couldn't get him to eat unless they put it right under the bed where he was.
Right.
And Rocky, and I think he got rabies, and people say this isn't true.
Oh.
Because it was storming and raining like heck. And he disappeared for a few days. And he finally came in the side yard. It was raining and muddy. And he was foaming at the mouth.
Oh.
And I went down in the yard with him. This was after I recovered from the surgery. And I laid down with him in the mud to try to touch him. And he'd growl at me and then pull away. And I believe he knew that he was going to hurt me.
Right.
Because he disappeared.
Yeah. Sad. Very sad.
Yeah.
They do. They go off sometimes and pass away.
Do you believe that's true?
Yeah. Yes. I totally believe that's true.
But that was my first dog, and we had a relationship because when nobody loved me, he did.
Exactly.
Rocky, I miss you.
Exactly. And he's still with you. You should remember that. There's always a part of your heart. That every animal I've ever had has always got this little part of my heart. I have this saying, this poem, I don't remember it off the head, but it's about them going over a bridge when they pass, and they go over the bridge, and they're in another dimension or another world, whatever I call it heaven, but whatever you want to call it. And everything's wonderful, and they're going to be there just waiting for us when we get there. So, you know, my husband even said when I was letting the cat go, he says, you know, your mom's right there taking the cat into her arms. You know, that just made me cry even worse. Thanks, Mark. But it was true, and I know it's true, you know. So but that's God spelled backwards. He's there for you. You know?
So we're running kind of short of time for your half of the show. So
no problem.
any closing thoughts or comments for the viewers?
Fix your animals, please. You know, get them neutered. Get help with training if you need it. Don't be afraid. Oregon Humane Society has great training programs to help you if you're having trouble with your animal. Please adopt. You know, adopt, adopt, adopt. Please support your local Bonnie Hayes and Oregon Humane Society. And, of course, pet partners, which the person sleeping over here. The animal sleeping over here. She can tell she's so excited, you know. You know, remember to visit your nursing home and your schools and take some time out and go see people that are a little lonely and closed away.
Can we take a peek at her once more in the control room there, even though she's resting? Yeah, there goes the camera there. There she is. And she is warm and beautiful and beautiful and beautiful. All right, so then let us take a break in the control room so we can change gears and have the second half of the show. Come on, Margot, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Don. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, looks like we're back. Thank you for staying tuned. Now, for you viewers who missed the opening of the show, you missed a great interview with Rosemary Mayers and her dog. And now we're going to talk to Margot about childcare, who is the Childcare Consultant, and she has a lot of stories to tell us about childcare. And you are also a whistleblower, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
And
yes.
you look like you're happy with that. So let's start again by the usual formality stuff, okay, so get that out of the way. And your full name is?
Margot Logan.
No middle name?
Loretta.
Loretta, okay. You don't use it?
No, not usually. And Margot, I was born with the T with Margot, but I dropped it because I got tired of explaining to people that the T was silent, so I just let that go.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So, and then where were you born?
I was born actually in Fort Lawton in Seattle, which is now Discovery Park. The Indians took it over in 1970.
Okay.
And I was born in the Army hospital. My brother was born in the Navy hospital. Military brats, Army brats, intelligence brats. My father was an Army intelligence officer in the 60s in Germany. So we lived in Japan, we lived in Oklahoma, we lived in Texas. And then finally, when he retired, we came back to Washington State because my family, my great-grandfather homesteaded up at Birch Bay. He had the first blacksmith shop in the 1880s. So I'm very steeped in Washington State history, and now I'm steeped in Oregon. I've been here for 20 years. I live on a sailboat, the HMS PMS. And
you live on a sailboat?
Yes.
And where is it docked?
Up on Hayden Island.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I like it over there.
So yes, I live an unconventional lifestyle. I guess I started out that way, being a military brat and kind of traveling the world and seeing a lot of things. And
You know some other languages?
well, my German is pretty bad, but when I go over there, I usually can make do. I still have German relatives, and so when I go, we sort of end up speaking English and German in the same sentence. So we go es geht, you know, we just kind of make it work.
Yeah. Do you have a religious preference?
I'm a spiritual. It seems like a lot of my stuff, whatever you call the manifestation of God, comes through sort of the Native American culture. It's just popped up into my life at various times without my seeking it. I just have had just wonderful experiences, and it's indescribable when you have those connections to nature and God, and however you want to call it.
Is that what you mean by spiritual? What do you mean by spiritual? People say that, and
Yeah,
it depends on the person
yeah.
what they really mean by it.
Yeah. I think for me, in terms of feeling like God is there, it's come through sort of nature. You know, I think your first guest has kind of got it right in terms of God and dog, but also all animals. I mean, they're, as a native, I don't know if you know Johnny Moses, the native storyteller, Native American
Doesn't ring a bell
storyteller.
now.
He was raised on Vancouver Island, and so a lot of his storytelling is very spiritual. He tells a story about when the humans thought they were people.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So we're all people. I mean, all the animals, nature, it's all connected, and there's all. I mean, I'd love to tell you some of my dog stories, of the connections that we have when we realize. And if you watch animals, you'll see when they realize that you're connected. I mean, you almost see on their face this surprise, like, oh, she knows I'm here. She knows there's a connection going on. So,
There's something going on way
Yeah,
beyond what we're
yeah,
capable of registering and recognizing with this neocortex.
yeah.
And
So
that's
as we go with nature is how we're going to go in society. I don't know, have you ever interviewed Derek Jensen?
no.
Oh, you have to get him on the show. He wrote Language Older Than Words, The Culture of Make-Believe, Strangely Like War. But read Language Older Than Words first, because he tells about the connection he got back to spirit, back to nature. And I think a lot of times, like in our childhoods, the animals that appear in our childhoods are the animals later that sort of come along to help us. And I mean, just, anyway, read his books. They'll make you cry. I mean, they'll put you right on the floor, but
Yeah.
they're so powerful, and he's such a kind person that...
He's local?
Yeah, well, actually, he's living in the Redwoods right now. He used to teach out at Eastern Washington University, creative writing. He's taught creative writing in the school, in the prisons, and just a wonderful guy. But yeah, definitely. And he comes to Portland, so I'm sure he would love to do your show.
Maybe we can talk about that later on and
Yeah.
see how you can help me get in touch with him.
Oh yeah, I've got his email. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and your formal education traveling in all these countries.
Oh, my formal education, I have my BA from Central Washington University, my master's in social work administration from Portland State University.
Social work, one of those people, huh?
Yeah, I had to get out. So that's my formal education.
On a partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife,
Not at the
husband,
moment.
whatever.
Not at the moment.
Are you available?
Yes.
She's available. I'll be hey. Children, grandchildren.
I have a son and I have 3 grandchildren, 12, 10, and 2. Yeah.
Do they like you?
Yes. Yes.
There's no hesitation.
Oh, yeah, I've got-
sneaky questions here, you know.
I've got great story. Well, I've also written a film script, and so I have the boys are in the film script, and because kids are so wonderful, they're so great, and again, they're like the love of animals. They just have such great heart, and they really say amazing stuff. They have amazing insights. Yeah. If we just stop to really listen to what they're saying.
And very civilized,
yeah.
Make them grow up.
And because I was a daycare licenser, I saw so many bad things. It just kind of breaks my heart, and that's why I ended up being a whistleblower. There was just one too many child deaths, and I saw one too many daycare providers who were just sort of ripping up the souls of children in their daycares.
Shall we then go right into the whistleblowing you're talking about now, and then go back to our cheat sheet of questions, or what's your pleasure?
Well, whatever you want. I mean, I'll just spout off.
All right. What led you to becoming a child care consultant and expert witness?
I got fired for whistleblowing on DSHS up in Washington State, which is the Department of Social and Health Services, which I worked for 20 years. And I was a whistleblower for 14 years. And then finally, one too many children died. I wrote a book called DSHS Secrets.
Yes.
Yeah, and Jesse here, this is little Jesse Hunt. He was 7-month-old, shaken baby in a daycare, and I met his mom back in at that time. And when I found out about his death, I went back to the office and I went into the computer and I looked up that daycare provider, and I was just astounded. I mean, it was so egregious. There was like 10 CPS reports on that family.
CPS meaning?
Child Protective Services.
Yes.
On that family in 2 years. In 2 years. And I was like, okay, how did she ever get a license, and how did she keep the license? And there was a prior shaken baby allegation before Jesse went into this home. And so I spent 10 years trying to improve the system. I got awards. I got a State Employee of the Year award. I got nominated for another one. And but all the things that I didn't end up stopping children dying in daycare. And then finally, in 2004, when little Haley, 2 years old, she was picked up by her daycare provider from the playpen, slam dunked back down into the playpen, knocked her out. She didn't call 911. She didn't tell Haley's parents. They picked her up. They barely got her to the hospital, had to have emergency brain surgery, and now lives with permanent brain damage. So she was my critical mass moment. And then I went outside of the agency. Well, actually, Stu Jacobson, who's Washington Parents for Safe Child Care, he gave my name to Susanna Frame of King 5 News, who's an investigative reporter. And she wanted me to look at 60 revocation letters they'd gotten from the state, because they saw in those 60 letters, 1/3 of those letters, why did it take so long to revoke those licenses? There were serious concerns, and why did it take so long? So I looked at that for her, and she interviewed me, so I was on King 5 News. So once you go public, And then I started testifying to the legislature. And once you go public, it's like, you go girl. You go girl. And it still took a while for them to fire me because I held on, just kept trying to make a difference. And they just, I mean, it was really painful. And these children, they haunt me. All the children who've died, and all the children that I saw with sad faces, and my managers wouldn't revoke the licenses. I found one provider, it was a complaint, she was over capacity, and she also wouldn't let the parents come into her daycare. So I went and I got in there because I knew she would try to hide them, and I just started, okay, bring the kids, and I started counting them. I counted 13, she was only licensed for 12. And then all of a sudden her assistant was gone. And I said, well, okay, where's your assistant? And I said, I have to check upstairs. She goes, oh, it's not licensed up there. You can't check up there. And I said, well, I have to because we have this complaint. So I go upstairs. 6 children are hidden in a closet in one bedroom. And then there's 2 other bedrooms, and in each bedroom is a little baby. There's no fire escape on the 2nd floor.
And what city is this in?
Vancouver, Washington.
Uh-huh.
And they wouldn't let me, they wouldn't revoke the license. And after...
Even that they wouldn't revoke the license.
When I made the first visit, and then I went off to England for a couple weeks. And then when I came back, I found out another licensor went out, found her over capacity. My supervisor went out, found her not supervising the little ones, and she still let her keep a license. Talk about insanity. It's just, you know.
The system, don't disturb the system. I think about Sandusky, that coach back then. And
well, we could do an hour just on the schools, if you'd like.
Yeah.
I teach a class. It's called What Can You Do About Child Abuse?
Yeah.
And I've been doing it for 5 years. It's the reason I wrote the book, because I'm the insider.
Mm-hmm.
And the people want to know. I saw that they were hungry and thirsty, wanting to know how come people can call into CPS over and over again, nothing happens, and a child dies. And so I could answer that question for them. And sometimes they would just, their mouths would be hanging open, and I'd go, I should write a book, huh? They go, yes. So they really, people want to know, and it's so hidden, the information. Is so, you can't get public disclosure. I have tried for 10 years to get the Attorney General in the state of Washington, back when it was Christine Gregoire, and then it went to Rob McKenna, to make a statement that managers, you cannot destroy public records. They will not do it. I mean, I pounded away email after email. One thing I'll say, a month after, this is an ebook, so it's on Amazon.com.
Yes.
A month after this went on Amazon, law that they hadn't been obeying for 4 years, they started obeying. So sometimes
so maybe you're having a bit
power,
of an effect.
yeah. But it is just, so I wrote the book. I write my blog to get information out to parents, to let them know, because there needs to be a witness. The way that the website's set up looks like everything's fine. There's an agency called, well, it was Childcare Resource and Referral. It's now called Childcare Aware.
Childcare Aware.
Which I say, childcare beware, parents beware, because these agencies get money from the licensing agency. Comes through the federal money, comes through the state money, but the state managers decide who gets the money. They don't give, so parents will call Childcare Aware or Resource and Referral, and they think that they're getting referrals to daycares that meet licensing standards.
Sure.
Resource and Referral, Childcare Aware, they don't know. They don't get any of that information. And so it's just sort of smoke and mirrors, you know, giving people a false sense that getting a referral from this agency means that these people are
clean and clear.
Yeah. And then on the website for the government, they're not posting violations, and the law that they weren't following for 4 years was that they were supposed to post if a license got revoked.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important for parents to know, because some of those people go right back to doing daycare, even after a baby's died. They just continue to do daycare. So it's very important for those parents to be able to Google on the Department of Early Learning's website
Mm-hmm.
to see if that person is licensed. So they're finally doing that, but they're not saying why they got revoked. They're not saying, okay, we revoked her license because a child finally died there. Sometimes that's how they revoked licenses. They let them keep a license.
It has to come to that
Yes.
length.
Yeah.
Do you see
It's
things getting
just-
any better?
Well, it's gotten worse in terms of public disclosure, because for a while there they had an angel who popped up into the system. His name was Brandon, and he knew why I did what I did. And he called me one day and said, I know you make a lot of public disclosure requests, and I found these 5 boxes, and your name's on them. And he said, would you like to come up and see them? I went, yes, I would. So I went up there, and it's documents that I had been making public disclosure requests on for 10 years, going back for almost 10 years. So they hid that, but the documents, they tell the behind-the-scenes story of the agency. And
Did you go through them?
Yes, yes. So.
Are you a friend of Daniel Ellsberg, or?
Oh, I got to meet him.
Did
Yes,
you really?
I love him. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I also got to meet Carl Colby,
Uh-huh.
William Colby's son,
Yes.
the director of the CIA,
Yeah.
the guy who exposed the family jewels.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's kind of, what I'm doing. And with my father's background, being an Army intelligence officer, he worked with the CIA.
Have you met Julian Assange yet?
No, but I'd like to meet him.
I knew you would.
Yeah, I almost called this Washi Leaks.
You're courageous.
Yeah.
You're terrific.
Well, I don't feel like I have a choice. And I think that's, if you really look at the history of whistleblowers, they really don't feel like they have a choice. It's almost like you cannot not do it. It's kind of, I guess it's kind of the God thing, that there's a reason. There were other times that I just wanted to get out there, but the message was, no, you have to stay here.
Do you have a dog?
You have to. No, I don't.
Oh, who do you share your feelings with? I can imagine every night you're dealing with this kind of
Well, we have
stuff.
We have blue heron on the dock. We have beavers. We have raccoon. We have crows. We have squirrels. In fact, I had a mama squirrel who was my friend, and
She was your friend?
Yeah, she'd come up and she'd take the peanuts right out of my hand. She'd hold on to my finger sometimes. And one time I was going to ride my bike, and she followed me all the way down. She jumped on my bike, and it was like,
Really?
okay. So I, put my bike down, went back, got her some peanuts, But yeah, it's very the animal world and the spirit world, the native world,
So that's what sustains you.
Yeah.
Gives you the nourishing and the stroking that you need. I can imagine you must have something to counter
support.
this kind of
Yeah.
awful, awful stuff.
And like Johnny Moses says, storytelling is medicine. It's good medicine. A good story will heal. It'll heal the heart, it will heal the soul. And if you heal the heart and the soul, you're going to heal some of the physical stuff that you have to go through. So meeting him really helped me form how I teach my class, and it's been so powerful. I've gotten so much, and people really are truly hungry for truth-telling about our government. They really are. So.
Are you? How many lists are you on with the CIA and the government? You sound pretty subversive to me.
I know. I'm trying to get records right now from the Army.
Are you?
On my dad and my brother, and yeah.
I have some quotes from a program, What You Can Do About Child Abuse class. Can I read a few of them?
Oh yeah, the evaluations, yeah.
Yeah, evaluations. Interesting class, lots of explanatory stories and anecdotes, engaging. Another one, Margot is clearly passionate and knowledgeable on this subject. Yeah. Thank you for your wonderful work. I was not familiar with the statistics and found it interesting to learn. Thank you so much for your time. This is a huge help. I want to learn more about how, as a loving community, we may pursue preventative measures. And with that, you have any suggestions for the viewers on how to pursue preventative measures, or how they can help turn things around and have things be different? It sounds like a humongous task.
Well, I think the first thing is that we just have to recognize that the government's falling apart. The reforms aren't working. When I worked in daycare for 13 years, 5 times the name of the agency changed, the director changed, but they kept the failed managers. So to the public, they would announce, oh, look, we're doing a reform. And this is always after too many children die and there's too much media attention. Then they go to that. So we have a new name, we have a director. Well, the director doesn't know anything about licensing. So who teaches the director how it's going to go down? Well, it's the failed managers who continue to exist in the system. So what I tell folks in my classes is that in terms of prevention, I do a lot on observation and do a lot on, you know, really from kindness and compassion, we may be able to help families rather than wait for things to get bad and then try to call CPS and that system not working. Is that really, it is an opportunity to come back into community and to, with our observational skills, we really see the children as individual. And once we can do that, then we can help them. We can do something kind for them. Or and for the parents, it may be that we can just open a door. Because parents who hurt their children, they were hurt as children.
Yeah.
And it's really true that they're in denial. They really don't see it. And so if there's a way, as there's a moment with kindness and compassion, we can open a door for them, then they can walk through it. Because we can't correct and control the world. You know, what we could do our little pieces with kindness and compassion and some good storytelling and some humor. We actually laugh quite a bit in my class, even though the subject matter is pretty intense.
Yeah, and the systems, and to change the system seems almost impossible. I'm talking about looking at human behavior in organizations, not just nationally, but
oh, and the historical piece. Do you know Paul Cienfuegos?
Yes.
You have to have him on. He gave me the final piece of the puzzle that allowed me to write the book. Mm-hmm. Because I can talk about all the things that I know, but it was like, why won't they let me enforce the daycare regulations so that children will not die? Well, what I learned from Paul in the public school, failed to tell us this when we were in the public school, is that when regulation came in, it was simply brought in by the railroad companies to kind of manage those pesky, concerned citizens. And daycare, I mean, all regulation is not intended to stop harm. It's intended to allow harm. And then that made sense. It was like, okay, that's the final piece. And people don't know. So from the late 1800s, we're still doing things and making decisions in the government, and you'll hear some of that conversation, but they don't know where it started from. And they don't know it was kind of a trick on the citizens to get them, you know, going to this regulatory body and this one and this one. And in the beginning, if you did harm, and you had a charter with the legislature, you did harm, you were simply dissolved. You didn't get a little fine. And so that was the last piece that I needed to do this, and also my film script is about it. It's about my journey.
Well, the time is running out on us. So what final words can you give to the viewers? Because this program is seen on my website all over the country and all over the world, of course, you know, not just in the broadcast stations around the country, too. So what message words do you have?
The message that I have is that parents and citizens, trust your intuition. Trust that gut feeling. And I found that people in my class, they have more knowledge than so-called experts who have 3 initials behind their names. So there's a wealth of knowledge and intelligence.
Trust your intuition.
Yeah.
Trust what you're sensing.
And if an expert tells you, oh no, this is the way it goes, and it doesn't sit with your gut, trust your gut, do your own research, go further, find other people, because you can be empowered. And I'll be glad to help anybody who needs anything, help with the government. I'm there.
All right. So it looks like we better start closing down before they yell at me in the control room. Wonderful crew. Thank you in there.
I could talk about this for 4 hours, as you can tell.
You're going to come back. We're going to have you back again talking about this stuff. So before we say goodnight, I want to say a big thank you to my wonderful crew and to, public service announcements. To get the Dr. Don local broadcast schedule, go to my website, www.donbaham.com, and click on present day activities. Next PSA, please. To watch my show on the web, go to my website again and click on favorite links. There's about 200 shows through the years that you can look at and select which ones you want to watch anytime. The ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, without the ACLU, our civil liberties would be totally down the tubes. Join the ACLU, go to that website and learn what the ACLU is about, the American Civil Liberties Union. Thank goodness for the ACLU. Then to get my shows broadcast by other stations, ask your local public access station to go to www.pegmedia.org. And here's the big one. Learn how to end corporate personhood. Go to www.movetoamend.org. We've got to amend the Constitution to say that corporations are not people and money is not speech. We've got to take our country back. Okay, thanks for watching.
Hear, hear.
And remember, KFC. No, not that KFC, not Kentucky Fried Chicken, Dr. Don's KFC. Kind, friendly, and charitable. Be kind, and be friendly, and be charitable. To you too. And you. And you. And you.
And
Thanks again for watching, and all the animals, including the human animals.
Yeah.